She went to the hospital and she had a terrible experience. Like, she was young, didn't know what was happening. The nurse slapped her across the face and told her to stop crying and being such a baby. She had the rest of my siblings at home. My dad delivered them.
People here have a hard time having children. People struggle with infertility. I always make fun. I would make a lady pregnant in Africa just by looking at them.
Babe. That morning we had had a fairly intense conversation about
it.
babies and how many babies we should have.
Yeah, it was a sign from God.
I feel like it was.
I stopped from doing my estimates, and here they are, like two ladies. She grew up in Angola. They had to leave Angola at the age of, she was 12, and had to flee Angola because of the political chaos that's going on. We did not ask her anything. We did not discuss about babies. She just said out of her own volition, like, but make sure you have at least 2 babies, because she has a daughter in Belgium, and that's her only child. And she's like 70 years old, and now her daughter has nobody else in
Nobody
Europe.
else to like talk to, no family, and God forbid if something should ever happen to her, then she would have no children.
That's what she
That's
said.
what she said.
The way she explained it, her being lonely, her daughter being lonely, and what
Well,
if
and her
anything
life
happens
coming-
to any one of them.
that's
I mean,
true.
God forbid. I was like, man, it's bigger than our traumatic experiences.
Yeah.
My name is Marcellus, my wife's name is Charity, and our son's name is Dos. Now, we were thinking of doing a series in which we're gonna describe the life of a baby from babyhood all the way to adulthood in our different setting, an African cultural setting and a Mennonite American cultural setting. And by the time we are finished with this review, we're gonna be talking, or you would have learned the differences that we have had in our intercultural relationship, and the differences that exist between the different cultures, yet very importantly the similarities, because we all belong to the human race. There's a ton of similarities, and that's why we're here, because we could work together.
Yes.
You ready to take this?
That sounds good.
Good. I need to take this thing out. Where should we start?
Well, maybe a good place to start is just kind of even the differences of how a baby is born, and like what happens to, like, what a mother goes through when the baby's born, and how they get back home, like some of those things. So maybe you could start first, like how when you were born, what happened to your mom.
So in Africa currently, especially, I'll talk about Kenya because it's the country I've grown up with. A lot of things are changing very fast. It's developing. So the life that I grew up in Africa 20 years ago or 25 years ago is not the same life that people are experiencing not necessarily the same right now in 2016. So, but I was born in 1996, okay, and I got to understand what is happening around the world, let's say around 2006, 2005. So I'll speak of that setting from then, what I've noticed. So women would get pregnant in, and I don't want to sound arrogant, I believe it's just getting pregnant, right?
Yeah,
Or
that's okay.
expectant women would expect a baby, okay? And most of the times in Africa, and again, I don't know how right this is, people in Africa view pregnancy as a burden. Most people
As
would.
a burden.
As a burden. Most people would.
Uh-huh.
And there is also a faction of people who believe that children are a blessing. But people are starting to realize, oh, you know what? They're not necessarily a blessing, because you have to provide for these kids. You have to give them like a good life. And you just can't give birth to kids, a lot of kids, without really having some financial muscle to support that, okay? So what I think is, and how we knew it, I grew up in a family of 9 siblings, and 2006, my mom was still having kids.
Yeah.
Okay, so we knew what we were like. Oh man, we are too many. Sometimes we felt I would overhear my older sisters talk of that, and so I'd wanna presume that kids and getting expectant and having children, it's viewed as a burden because people
The general population would view it as a burden.
because people will be like, hey, diapers are expensive. Okay, I mean,
Food is expensive.
food is not expensive. I mean, you'll be surprised. The
Okay.
relationship between food and Kenyans or Africans is very different. I mean,
Okay.
it's peculiar. Food is not as expensive if you compare it with America, okay?
Okay.
But the production of food and the production and storage
And maybe the preservation
and
or storage.
preservation
Yes.
is
yeah.
not that elaborate. So you'd find in a year, you'd find periods in a year where there is scarcity of
Okay.
food, okay? But the production, people produce a lot of food,
Okay.
but because there's no preservation, it just wastes away most of
And
the
then
time.
you have the period when there's
Period
until
when
there's
there is
more
no,
food.
when
yeah.
there's no food.
So that's a huge thing when you think of children in Kenya, like as a
exactly.
person having children.
Exactly. So kids, sometimes you'd have to go through a lot of trouble to find food for the baby, to find diapers, to take the babies to school. Okay. So children would kind of like be seen as a burden from my point of view. And again, this is not a blanket effect. Okay. This is just my experience.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. How would the Mennonites and Americans as a whole view pregnancies and expecting?
So I'm going to talk to you about the subculture of Mennonites because I feel like people who watch are probably American and kind of know the general American vibe of families and children. But from a subculture, a Mennonite subculture, children are viewed like when my parents were having children, like there's a verse in the Bible that say children are a blessing from God. And so they're viewed as blessings, and some people are more of the opinion like you would never do anything to pause pregnancies or like go on birth control or anything or family planning of that sort. They're more like however many that God gives to them, that's how many they would have. And other people are a little more thoughtful and, give a bit of space. But my family, there's 9 of us as well. And I speak from the youngest of 9, and I would never want to live without so many siblings.
Yeah.
Like we had a wonderful time, and even I was 7 years behind, but my family now is like my support group. Like if I need anything or I need counsel or whatever it is, they're always there to help me, and I know they have my best in mind. So when my mom was pregnant with me, it was pretty different even than when she was pregnant with my oldest brother, Leroy, who's 25 years older than I am.
Yeah.
When he was born, it was 1962, and she went to the hospital, and she had a terrible experience. Like, she was young, didn't know what was happening. The nurse slapped her across the face and told her to stop crying and being such a baby. And
So would nurses still do that in
so
America right now?
now when I was born, it was very different. Like she told the doctor she had the rest of my siblings at home. My dad delivered them, but then because she was older, the doctor that we were seeing thought it would be better if she had me in the hospital just in case there were
Yeah,
complications. So she said, fine, I'll come to the hospital, but I want to make the terms. I don't want the baby to be taken away from me. I don't want the baby this and this and this. And they were very respectful of that. Now, currently, as a nurse working, I understand how the maternity ward is, and when we had our baby, they couldn't have been nicer. Like nobody would have slapped me. Like now, if somebody would slap a lady in labor who's crying and doesn't know what's happening, they would lose their job instantly.
You know, what I was thinking is, I mean, nurses and doctors, sorry for the machine.
Rabbit trail.
Somebody,
Oh, the machine.
somebody is cutting the tree with a
it's
machine.
okay.
So I feel like nurses and doctors at hospitals in America right now answer to the patients.
They do.
Okay.
It's very patient driven now.
Exactly.
Yes.
So in Africa, pretty much my whole life, you'd have to go to the hospital and the nurses and doctors would dictate. you can't go there and mandate
And
that
ask
you
what
want
you
to
want.
be, and mandate, okay?
Ah.
You have to like be really respectful, understand the doctor is there to help you. There's nobody to help you but this doctor, okay?
Ah.
Right now, and of course, sometimes there will be cases of people being mistreated, okay? But now it wouldn't be as much because people are afraid because of the CCTV cameras and that. But still, there is that relative notion or culture that if you go to the hospital, the doctor is your god, the nurses is your god, then are your god, okay? So you can't mandate, you can't mistreat the way
Like
I
you can't
see.
say, I don't want to do this, or I
Exactly.
want you to do this for me. And now that's a huge, like here,
Yeah.
that's a huge switch. Now, and that has come over the years. When I became a nurse, it was
Yeah.
still a little bit more of the God versus patient, like
Yeah.
sort of perspective. Now it's definitely more like we are very much what the patient wants. But back to your situation, did
Yeah.
your mom go to the hospital to have you, or did she have you at home?
So my mom, I believe she had all the kids in the hospital.
Oh, she did. Okay.
All the kids in the hospital because my mom is a very progressive woman.
She is.
And she believes in profession, being herself being a teacher,
Yeah.
professional teacher. So she had all of us in the hospitals. And that, let's come now to how a kid comes home and how people celebrate a new kid. How do you guys do it?
Well, so I came home from the hospital. Obviously, I don't remember because I was a baby, but I have a
Yeah.
full album of pictures of my family, all of my doting siblings around the bed, like all smiling and happy. And I know next to me are 3 brothers, and I know that when it was time to go to church on Sunday morning, they would fight who got to carry me from the car to the church. Like, babies are very celebrated, and when we had him, like we
Yeah.
had baby showers, people were so kind to us. They gave us so many beautiful things.
Exactly.
And babies are a positive, happy thing for us.
When we had him,
Yeah.
like the church women, how do you call them meal runs?
Oh, yeah, they brought us
food
meals.
for,
Yeah.
was it 10 days?
They did, yeah.
Oh, man.
Seven meals.
We had
yeah.
more food that we could eat for that period, and you were like, you are recovering, man, and that was just magical.
Yeah, that
we
was
had
really nice.
so many clothes for him. So people volunteered to buy us the stroller, the baby seat.
Yeah,
and
we had,
everything.
well, and that's coming from a big family. So my
Exactly.
siblings were all very excited because obviously I was a little older when I got married. And so they were so excited for me. So they helped with all our stuff. So
Yeah.
that's really nice. But how was it when you came home?
And remind me, I want to talk about the baby seat. That was a serious shock.
baby seat?
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So, answering how babies are treated in Africa. So, most people would believe babies are a blessing from God. Okay, then it depends on your financial capabilities, how you come home, how people will say, and how your family interact with each other. You might find families that are not closely knit. Nobody would care. You'd find families that are closely knit. People will celebrate. People will hold like a party. People will come. They'll come to see the kid, and children are celebrated. But what I want to point on and emphasize on, I mean, what I think is a big difference is how the mother arrives home and how the financial capability tampers with that. Because you'll find those who are not as capable would either hire a taxi. Nowadays in the cities you have Ubers and such, but back in the village, okay, you'd have some cases that die. You'll have even mothers hopping onto motorcycle, like
Jiggly, jiggly,
the
jiggle
little
all the way
motorcycles,
home,
okay?
yeah.
The little, we call them boda bodas.
Yeah.
But I think those are really dire situations.
Okay.
But most of the cases they'll hire a taxi, and the taxi would bring the baby home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about the car seat.
Oh, the
Sorry,
car.
baby.
So the thing is, when I was born, car seats were not such a huge deal.
Uh-huh.
I know that I had a car seat, and I don't know if it was like my mom's. Oops,
Uh-huh.
sorry. My mom's first car seat she ever bought
When you were born.
when I was born.
That is after 25
So after-
years of having kids, right?
Yes. So that since me now, like now it's become such a big deal here, like which is good. Like it's for this purpose of keeping
Yeah.
the babies safe.
Yeah.
But you have to like here in the hospital you have to have a car seat and you have to know how to run it. You have to be able to put the baby in it before they let you leave the hospital.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of been a like ongoing thing since I was born. But yeah, I remember the car seat I had was just like a big plastic. It looked kind of like a big bucket looking
Yeah.
thing that I sat in.
So in Kenya, it's not mandated that you have to have a car seat
Uh-huh.
for the baby to come to ride home.
Okay.
So mothers would carry their
Just
baby
carry them,
just
yeah.
that way. But I also do understand because in America everybody has vehicles.
When people drive faster.
People drive fast.
Yes.
That's a culture shock. The first time I drove here in the freeway, I was like, "Oh, what is happening?" I would be driving at 65 kilometers per hour because it clearly says 65 and
miles per hour.
per
yeah.
hour, miles per hour, and somebody would come past me like probably at 75 miles per hour, and then I did not know you're allowed to
Drive a little
go
bit
fast.
over.
I still drive if it's 65
That's good.
because I don't want to break the law in any way.
Yeah, that's
but you'd
good.
find somebody just come, you're driving at 65 miles per hour and somebody just comes and just does that. You know, 65 miles per hour is like, how many kilometers per hour is that? 65 miles
like
per hour.
140 maybe or something.
Let's see.
While he's looking that up, I will just insert this. One of the reasons the Mennonites also tended to have more children, maybe even the Amish, let's say my parents grew up old order Amish and drove horse and buggy until their second child was born. But there was often, people had a lot of children, a big family, because you depended on farming as your income. So you needed help. You needed help to farm, you needed help to milk the cows, to plant the garden. Like it was a team effort. So if you had a lot of children, your team was much bigger as far as like the workforce goes. And so I think in some ways, like the more modern we've become, I think that's not, farming or agriculture is not so much our main source of income, and so big families aren't so like necessary or
Yeah.
important in
Yeah.
that aspect. People still have pretty big families, but not as much as like my mom grew up in a family of 12.
But still, the Mennonites still have.
We-
as
yeah,
many
we
babies
do.
because
Yeah.
people still want to have babies.
Yeah, babies are still a good thing. Children are a good thing. So people, yes, they do still have big families.
Yeah. Now coming back to the miles per
Yeah.
hour, very fast. We leave this, we rest this. So 65 miles per hour is 104 kilometers per hour.
Uh-huh.
So in Kenya, the maximum
water?
speed limit everywhere that you could drive.
Yeah.
Sorry, baby.
Sorry.
Is 80 kilometers per hour. And if you drive 100 miles per hour, which is 65 miles per hour, if most people use matatus.
Yeah.
Matatus are like the public transport system.
Like a little bus.
Everyone, even the meek of, and people don't complain as much in Kenya.
Yeah.
They'll be like, "Hey, you wanna kill us? Stop this matatu!" They'll get out
If
because
they're
that's
fast, it's
serious
too
speed,
fast.
okay?
Yeah.
Now talk about somebody driving at 75 miles per hour, which you allowed for the speed limit of 65 miles per hour, is 120 kilometers per hour.
So people would freak
That's
out.
insane. And in some places, when we were driving to Kansas, we have speed limits of 80 kilometers per
know,
hour.
in
How much?
Kansas.
That's like 160 plus, I presume.
That's like deadliest road
That's
stuff.
it, the deadliest roads. So that was really intimidating. Now, when people
Yeah.
are driving that way, you really, really, really need to have.
Well, you can't really have children falling
castle.
around in the vehicle, or if you're in
Exactly.
an accident at that speed, like people are just, yeah, if you don't wear seat belts and stuff
so
like that.
In Kenya, and you have most of the places, the roads are not that well. They are potholes, so you wouldn't find people driving at
Well,
such
and speed
speed.
bumps, there's a
So
lot of
the
speed
law
bumps
hasn't
there.
really been tightened
Yeah.
to reflect that. Talking of baby diapers and the responsibility of having kids and how people want to have kids. So I'll say in Kenya, people don't want to have a lot of kids because people who really care about their kids and standards would know, hey, we cannot afford this, and we don't want to like have a lot of kids, because if you have a lot of kids, that is, you make it harder for you to come out of poverty. That's how I believe. We grow up in a family of 9 plus 2 parents, that is 12 people in a family.
11.
11 people. I feel, oh man, part of why like we stuck so much, the standards of living are not as high, is because we were so many of us and our parents were stretched out thin.
So when you might have had enough money if there were
Yeah.
maybe 3 or 4, but now you add 11 people to your household to have enough food and clothes, like
Yeah.
that, just that alone
That
is a lot
alone
of
is
money.
hectic. Plus, I also feel here there's a I mean, I don't know how it works.
Mm-hmm.
People here have a hard time having children. People struggle with infertility. That's
There
what
is some infertility.
That's
yeah.
what I've
Mhm.
realized.
I would agree with you.
But in Africa, people don't want to have kids. But it seems when you don't want to have
You
kids,
just have more.
you become pregnant even by just. But I think I mean I always make fun. I would make a lady pregnant in Africa just by looking at them.
Babe,
that's
it's terrible.
so people.
But yeah, I know what
get
you mean.
Easily.
And
people
I
are
don't know
so
if it's like
fertile.
I don't know if it's the environment, the water. I know like in Kansas where we live, like ladies had a lot of trouble getting pregnant because of water. So when
Yeah.
they changed the water, things were better. So it just I don't know. But yeah,
Yeah.
maybe just the cleaner environment in
Yeah.
Kenya.
So when you have people struggling with kids, I mean, there's a relative atmosphere of, hey, demand is low. We need so much supply. So people
Yeah.
will be like, when people can have kids, people will be racing to have kids. I mean, I've seen it in the Mennonite families. Kids 7, 6. People will go to also an extent of adopting kids. You know, where I come from, that's not common.
Oh, really?
People don't adopt kids. You'd find people living happily. You say, this is our son, but then eventually you'll find out, I mean, all the kids, a number of kids were adopted.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of families adopting kids in Kenya. That's not the case.
Yeah. Well, and to me, another aspect, like
Yeah.
if I look at Doss,
Yeah.
and I think that he would be our only child, which
Yeah.
we have no news to say, but if he was our only child, I just think like when we're gone, like then it's only him.
Yeah.
Like who's he gonna have fun with? Where are his cousins? What cousins or what children is like?
Yeah.
I don't know. Family to me has always been a very huge thing. Like,
Yeah.
and it takes hard work. Like. It's not always easy. Sometimes we disagree and then we have to make things right. But
Yeah.
in the end, my perspective of children and having a big family has
Yeah.
always been a very positive blessing
Yeah.
sort of thing. Like I don't know, it's just a good life.
I want to give you guys like a sneak peek. I want to be honest and intrude into our privacy a little bit.
Oh, really?
Should I?
Oh, what are
So,
you going to say?
I say I still struggle with the trauma of growing up in a big community, and I've seen that life. It traumatizes me. I don't want to go back to that life. It was good when we were young and naive and we'd run out, go swimming, go playing with our friends without shoes. It was good, but later on, I mean, as we were growing, that was not the life that
You didn't
that we
think
would
that
have-
was the life you would want to give to your children.
After growing up and making sense of what's going
Yeah.
around. So, and we've had these discussions. I've been like insisting, hey, this is just be our only kid. I mean, I'm satisfied with him, but that just like hurts you. Like you want to have more babies.
Yeah.
So,
And there again, I mean, that's the difference in culture, the
Yeah.
difference in growing up in a different culture, in a different setting. Like everything we view in life is viewed through our experiences and our
Exactly.
perspectives. And so
Exactly.
your experiences with a large family are very, like, were just mentioning are different
Yeah.
than mine.
Yeah.
And so for me, a lot of children is happiness and fun and
Yeah.
joy. Yeah, maybe a little chaos too,
Yeah.
but a lot of good things.
Yeah.
And for you, it feels more like
Lack of food,
lack of food,
clothing,
lack of clothes, like
Yeah.
just the bare necessities
and
and
struggle.
strife and struggle.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, if I would have that perspective, I
Yeah.
can understand that.
Yeah.
But we also are in a different setting.
Yeah.
So, but we should maybe not get
Yeah,
into that again.
I'm starting to understand that. And you know what really changed my mind? Probably we should, if we are blessed to have one more kid or two more,
Yeah.
we had, it's funny. Now, when I was painting our house, two ladies stopped by, and they were like ladies from the Jehovah's Witness. So they came by, talked to me, and I invited them in, offered them tea, and so they always come back. Now, a week ago, last weekend,
Yeah, last Saturday, actually.
yeah, exactly, I came home for lunch. No, I was going to do
Well,
estimates.
to back up, that morning we had a fairly intense conversation
About
about
it.
babies and how
Exactly.
many babies we should have.
Yeah, and I feel it was a sign from God.
I feel like
Because
it was.
I stopped from doing my estimates, and here they are, like two ladies in front, and I could recognize one of the lady and the other lady who was black. Now, she had told me previously, I know someone who is Angolan, who grew up in Angola. Now, I thought, oh, that's the lady she was talking about. So I come, we welcome them in.
Well, the funny thing is, I was sound asleep because I had been awake.
You
I
woke
was
up at 3.
to bake, and
Yeah.
he's getting teeth, so he hadn't slept very
Yeah.
well. So I would probably have not answered the door unless you would have, but here you were.
Yeah, so I found them at the doorstep, so
Ah.
I just arrived with them. And so this lady actually has a nice, not a nice story, but an incredible story.
Yeah.
She has a thick French accent. So she told us, just to give you guys some description, she grew up in Angola. They had to leave Angola at the age of, she was 12, and had to flee Angola because of the political chaos that going on. And Mobutu Sese Seko, then the president of Democratic Republic of Congo, gave them refuge.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
that's right.
I am yet to know her better, so maybe she was like the daughter of a high-ranking official,
Who
then
knows?
independence fighter, and that is the time when there was like chaos, coup d'etats in Africa. Then they later moved to Europe in Belgium. She's actually right now a Belgian citizen.
Oh, okay.
So when she was leaving, you know, actually, you understand Creole, having lived in Haiti, so you know a little bit of French, and
Yeah,
you can imitate
it
her.
was, yeah.
Would you please imitate
No,
like an
I'm
accent,
not,
like
no.
yeah, you know, I was, yeah. Now we came to America. I mean, it's sweet, it's French
It is
accent
sweet
anyway.
French accent, but it was pretty thick.
Yeah.
So, but
So-
I could understand her
But
really
anyway,
well.
as she was leaving, she was like, we did not ask her anything. We did not discuss about babies. She just said out
No.
of her own volition, like, but make sure you have at least 2 babies, because she has a daughter in Belgium, and Belgium or France. She's in a 3rd marriage right now, and that's her only child. And she's like 70 years old, and now her daughter has nobody else in
Nobody else
Europe.
to like talk to,
Talk
no
to.
family, and God forbid if something should ever happen to
Yeah.
her, then she would have no children.
That's what she
That's
said.
what she said.
And I'm like, for some reason, a reason just slapped my mind, and I was like, man.
I don't know. I think it's that French
bigger
accent
than,
that got you, because I've
Yeah.
told you the same things and you're still
yeah.
like,
I don't know. I think for some reason, the way she explained it, her being lonely, her daughter being lonely, and what
Well,
if
and her
anything
life
happens
coming-
to
yeah,
any one of
yeah,
them?
that's true.
God forbid. I was like, man, it's bigger than our traumatic experiences.
Yeah.
It's like her, like the baby. It's
Yeah.
like when we are old, like what is family? What makes up a family? A family is not made up with one person.
no. And
So-
thinking about when we talked a little bit about my mom being in the hospital, like
Yeah.
if it would have just been me having to decide all
Yeah.
those things, that would have been overwhelming. But there were 9 of us, so we all helped each other and just how beautiful that was that we had the support of each other
Yeah.
to help with discouraging or hard times, and then
Yeah.
we also have good times. We get together and have good times. So yeah. But I'm glad. I don't know. God must have sent the Angola lady that day, because I was
Definitely.
like, I am so tired
Definitely.
today, but I don't know that was good.
Yeah. So anyway, I think it's time to wrap up this episode. We'll continue
Yeah,
next
hopefully
time.
that gave you kind of a nice little picture, a little bit of a picture how
Yeah.
like a baby, or like how families feel about babies in the different cultural
now,
settings.
Now where we are is we are at now the baby has been born. The baby has come home. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll pick it up from next time.
Yeah.
And by the time this baby goes to campus in another setting, or they leave school at grade 8 in a Mennonite setting
Yeah.
and start their own life, get married, start their own families, we would be talking about the cultural differences that we have in our cultures and how we mitigate that. Because sometimes it used to get really hot between the two of us. We would not understand.
On certain topics.
Yeah,
Yeah, and even
exactly.
just certain ways of looking at things. I know.
Yeah, so we'll talk about like the kid going to school, the language, how punctual they should be, the respect.
Oh yeah, that's a good thing to
we'll
talk about.
Talk about
yeah.
that. But for now, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you for the support that you're giving us
Yes,
on the
thank
other
you.
videos. We're doing these videos because of you guys, and because of the support we are able to do more of the other videos, and we want to make videos that are edifying,
But that are inspiring
that
to
are
other people
inspiring,
too.
that,
'Cause,
that,
yeah.
that give inspiration
Yeah.
and positivity, and all in all for the glory of God.
Yes, that's
Right?
true.
So, and we are just a vessel, and you are there to empower us. So thank you so much for everybody that is
Yeah.
watching our recent episodes. I hope you enjoyed this, and we are dedicated to this moving forward. Without much ado, he's also saying, you guys, we need to go.
Bye bye.
See you in the next one.
Bye bye.
Bye.